feeds Pelosi. Off the wall to Harris. Harris has got Pelosi. Harris to Pelosi. Shot. He scores! Chris Pelosi!
And Poitras trying to drive in on that right wing side. Poitras in. Scores! Matt Poitras in overtime.
Billis took it right off his stick. Sends one through. They score! First career goal for the Bruins draft pick, Dom.Hockey Billis.
Back to the blue line. Cowan has it, looking for the return feed. Cowan lets it go back to the point. Shot! Score!
Bills were without all of their World Junior guys for that against Simon Fraser. BC played him Sunday. Good pass ahead. There's Yelvik. He scores! Didn't need an exhibition.
Will come up with it. Ross Schwab flips it out to center. Now McKinney gets chased with Harrison. Harrison to the backhand. Score! A deft touch.
Watch out. Nelson steals. Walks in. Scores! 6-2. Jackson Nelson has the hat trick.
In Crosby line. Gula wins that back. Now he's gonna waltz it.
Welcome into another episode of the Dom.Hockey, the podcast. Dom, how are you tonight? You ready for another Prospects episode?
Sure I am. Feels like forever since I've talked to you, so good to be back talking some hockey.
Absolutely. And as always, this episode is brought to you by our friends over at Ice Shaker. Check them out at iceshaker.com. It is honestly, in my opinion, the best shaker bottle out there. It genuinely keeps your ice cold for over 30 hours. I mean, you can hear mine probably from, this morning. I left it at home today by mistake. Founded by Rob Gronkowski's brother, Chris. They're licensed now with the NFL, NHL, NCAA, MLB, like everywhere. There's some wrestling ones. Check them out. Trust me, they are absolutely worth it. And I want to thank them for helping sponsor the program. So with that said, Dom, we talked a little bit last night about Fabian Lysell and his call-up. Let's dive into that a little bit more because he was sent back to Providence today or yesterday. He was on the ice at practice this morning for Providence. That's what it was.
Yeah. You want to start with Providence then?
Well, I was just figuring we'd touch on Lysell going back to Providence, and then we'd go back to these other prospects because some of them actually played again. I think it's very clear that he was on the ice. That it's no longer just a paper transaction. What are your thoughts on it not being a paper transaction?
I don't read anything into it. It's like Joe Sacco today said, it was opponent-based. Washington's, they wanted bigger bodies against Washington, and it is what it is. I don't know why we have to question every single move that the team makes. We're not there. We don't see what's going on behind the scenes. That's my opinion on it. So
the corresponding move in the line rushes today was that Koepke was on the third line where Lysell had been against the Blue Jackets. Do you think that Koepke can get – yesterday we talked about how, what Lysell was able to do was get Trent Frederick to get his feet going and kind of get back into the game a little bit and show a little bit of life. Do you think Koepke can have that same effect?
I don't know. I don't recall ever seeing Koepke on the third line with Frederick and Brazeau. So I don't know. Have to see it, right?
Yeah, we'll have to see that. And it'll be interesting to see how he takes a potential demotion back down in Providence. So before we circle back to Providence and the games that they had over the past weekend, let's start with some of our college friends. You want to start with our good friend Dan Lockmellis? Update folks on him?
Yeah, really, they never got back into action. They played an exhibition game against Simon Fraser University out from British Columbia, Canada. They're touring the East Coast of the United States. They won 4-3. They were losing 3-2 in the third period. So UMass had to come back to win that one. No points for Locke Mellis, had 2 shots on goal, was -1. Really means nothing in terms of the standings and production because, as I said, it was just an exhibition game. I'm sure we're going to have people asking questions later about the World Juniors, and we'll touch more on Don's Lodge Mellis at that point.
Sure. Yeah, I know when we talked a little bit about him yesterday on the show, but obviously that's still a point of contention for a lot of Bruins fans. So with that, the Quinnipiac, they got back into action, real action, where our good prospects of Chris Pelosi and Elliot Gronwald are playing. Thoughts on their night?
Well, let's start with Gromwald first. I thought he had a terrible game. He was a -3 in the contest. They won 6-5, sure, but I don't think it was Gromwald's greatest performance on the season. He's just a kid, still 18 years old. I like his development so far this season. It'll come along as he progresses through school, but just not a good game by him. Chris Pelosi did score in this one. In typical Chris Pelosi style, driving to the net without the puck, it comes to him and he banks it into the open side of the net. I believe you got the highlights of this goal.
I do believe I have. Let me see if I can find that one because I know you sent me quite a few, starting with Providence. So let me see if I have Pelosi's. Farinacci. You sent me a lot of Providence ones.
Yeah, I thought you would have had them in order by now.
Oh, here we go. The Pelosi goal. Well, you sent me all the Friday Providence ones too, and we have to go over those. So I had to find the Pelosi one in amongst all of those. But I got it here. We got it queued up. Oh, that's an interesting format. Let's see if we can make that a little bit bigger. There we go. And should I slow it down to half speed?
No, keep it full speed. Yeah, it's how you really see that this is the type of game that he's capable of playing. Now you can slow it down so that people can see it. Unfortunately, I can't point to what's happening, but
If it's going a little slower, we can walk them through it. So we've got him. He's
so
the
you'll
trailer
see,
right over here, right?
yeah, going straight down the middle of the ice, and
That's where
bam, the
you want him
puck
to
comes
go.
right to him, and that's where he goes constantly. And you can tell in this replay just his size, right? He's not small. Great game for him last night, even despite even if you leave the goal out, led all shooters with 6 shots on goal. A lot of energy all over the ice. Got rewarded there by going to the net, which I said is something that he does frequently.
Yeah. Good news is we got Kevin in the chat now, so the party is here. I don't know how to say here with that many E's, but Kevin is here. So I assume he brought the food.
Yeah.
So that
Yeah.
usually means the party's here.
Good, because I'm hungry.
Yeah, right. So aside from Pelosi and Groenwald, though, you know who else has been hungry to get back into action? It's been our good friend Ty Gallagher
Yeah,
over at Colorado College.
yeah,
Another point.
yeah. And the, it's it's easy to understand how people underestimate his intelligence and the way he thinks the game, and then he sets up this goal, and we'll play it in a minute because we do have that, and everybody can see exactly what I'm talking about his IQ. But Colorado College. Uh, Exhibition game against the University of Nevada, Las Vegas. Uh, Absolutely thumped them 8-0. Um, this this is a team that is not a Division One team, but they're trying to get in there. And uh, not to underscore it, this University of Nevada, Las Vegas team beat the defending champion Denver University the night before. So I don't want to underscore what Colorado College did and call it um, a non-Division One exhibition game. Um, but play the goal that I'm going to refer to here, Chris. Now this one you can start off at half speed.
Alrighty, let me get this a little bit larger here for
So
our viewing audience.
that's Gallagher in the center of your screen right there. Now at this point,
right here, all by himself.
yeah. Now he's the right side defenseman, but the left defenseman is on Gallagher's side. So Gallagher is now covering the left side. So let her go from here and get ready to stop it right here. So Gallagher reaches for the puck, chips it by the defenseman trying to pinch in here. Now let her go, Chris. Picks up the puck, dishes it off at the blue line here, and look what he does. He's a defenseman heading straight for the net, taking the defender with him, and creating open ice for his teammates. This is a guy that thinks the game at an ultra high level and is a 7th round pick.
Yeah, I'll let that roll for a minute, but that is just the vision. That's what we're talking about when we say hockey IQ. Can they see a play like this developing? Is he smart enough? Because he could have veered off to the right. He could have, he went straight to the net. Even though it wasn't his play to make, he knew where his teammates were and that a play could be made if he stayed his course.
Absolutely. I got to give the guy a ton of credit for the way he saw that from his own zone all the way up ice. Like I said, the defenseman doing that, and not many defensemen would do that. I don't want to portray him as strictly an offensive defenseman because he is capable of playing defense. I mean, he averages 22, 23 minutes a night and plays in all situations.
Yeah, this is someone who potentially, if he continues the path that he's on, he's going to be someone that not only makes the NHL, but could make people sit there and go, how the hell did he slip to the 7th round? Not just because he's a great all-around defense. I mean, again, even if he peaks out at a 2nd pairing defenseman, a 3rd pairing defenseman for a 7th round pick, that's a win.
Yep.
I think a lot of people put too much emphasis on the term bust. I mean, this is his 4th year in college. He just switched over. He just entered the transfer portal to go to Colorado this year. Last year, we were both looking at his numbers and trying to figure out what the hell he did to piss off Jay Pandolfo. But whatever it was, it's also lit a fire under Ty's ass too, because he's having a hell of a comeback year, which is exactly what we were hoping for.
Exactly. And, decision has to be made on him in the spring, whether to sign him or not. At this point,
Well, he
I
can go
do
back
not.
for one more year.
No, he can't. I
He
thought
can't?
he
I thought he
could.
had.
I thought he could, but he can't.
Oh.
So I have no reason to believe that the Bruins will not offer him a contract.
Yeah, I mean, regardless of whether or not the decision has to be made this year or next year, I would still extend an offer to him to bring him in. It doesn't. I mean, you could do a 1 or a 2 year ELC, but I would say a standard 3 year would be fine.
Well,
And,
no, it depends on his age. Entry-level contracts are based on age, the length.
I'm trying to pull up what his age is real quick.
So an 18 to 20-year-old is 3 years. A 20-year-old to
I think he'd be 21.
so it would for him it would be a 2-year entry-level contract.
Let's see. Come on. He is 21 right now, so a 2 year ELC, which is fine.
Yeah. Well, when's his birthday?
March 6th, so he'll be 22 in 2.
So he
months.
would be considered a 22-year-old. Anybody who turns 22 before September 15th will be considered a 22-year-old at signing, even if he was 21 when he signed.
Yeah, but I mean, it's still a 2 year ELC, which if you can get a 2 year ELC out of a 7th round pick and get him in, and I would be very anxious to see, or very interested, anxious not being the optimal word there. I would be very interested to see what he could do with a year in Providence, given the way he's bounced back. I mean, the kid has drive.
Well, unless the Bruins put too much emphasis on last year, where
I don't see them doing that, though. I mean, 1 year out of his 4-year college career.
you never know.
Yeah.
You just never know. You look at Mattias Mantikivi, who's over a point per game over in Finland right now. The Bruins chose not to sign him based on 1 year. And look what he's doing, playing pro hockey in Finland.
Do you think, just as a side quick question here, do you think that's someone that the Bruins still have their eye on, given the fact that they had him in their system, they were already familiar with him, and it was a make a decision moment, and they opted to not offer the contract? He's performing again. Like, do you think he's someone that they could revisit?
No, the Bruins got way too much depth at center ice right now. I doubt that they would revisit it.
Okay.
But who is it? What is it? Milan Yurcina is their Finnish scout. So I'm sure he's keeping an eye on him. But I can't fathom the Bruins signing him now at this point.
I mean, like you said, it comes down to everybody has a book on everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So if he is keeping an eye on him, at least it's keeping his book up to date, knowing what he's there for. It may not be. I mean, he might have something going on with his family where he doesn't want to sign right now anyway. We don't fully know all of it. There's a lot of ins and outs that, maybe there's a reason why they opted not to that we're just unaware of when it came to offering him a contract. But I know that was a lot of conversation on Ty Gallagher, a little bit of side chatter. But we'll just say we ate up Jonathan Merenberg's time because he's still injured.
Yeah, and it's really disappointing because to me, he's their top prospect on defense. Hasn't played yet this year. I've talked to his mother a couple of times, still not on the ice. Rehab is going.
I was going to say, based on those conversations, what can you share with us about where he's at mentally with his game? If he hasn't been on the ice for this long, that really could start to bother some people. So whatever you can share with us, because I would be worried about that.
Basically, he's in a good spot. He's frustrated because rehab isn't going the way it should be. You know, his team is not in a very good spot. I haven't checked the standings as of today because they played today, but prior to today, they were 2 points ahead of the 12th place team, meaning that they're that close to playing relegation next season as opposed to the SHL, which could be a good thing for the Bruins because I don't think they want him over there playing in the Allsvenskan when he could be over here playing in the American Hockey League. So it could be a blessing in disguise.
I am glad that you mentioned the relegation factor, because right now he is not eligible to come over at all unless they buy out his contract, correct?
Right.
And that would stay true through the offseason, correct?
Well,
assuming no relegation.
There is an automatic out in his contract. Every player under contract in Europe with a league that is under the IIHF umbrella has an automatic out. So they can opt out of their contract at any time before, I believe it's May 15th, or maybe it's June 15th, and sign an NHL contract. However, I don't know how that's affected by the new NHL SHL agreement, or the one that was signed a year ago. So I would imagine it would still cost the Bruins a lot of money to get him over.
I believe I've asked you the question, but do you think he's worth that kind of money? Do you think it's worth it for the Bruins to pay to get him over here if they had to get him out of the contract?
Last year, I would have said yes. This year, I don't know, simply because of the injury. We and the surgery, for that matter. Don't know how he's going to respond to that. That's what I was most looking forward to for Merenberg, is to see how he responds.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, he's on the same team as his brother, correct?
Correct. His brother is the goaltender.
Is there any chance that the Bruins could potentially look to take his brother in a later round this year?
No.
We know how meager their goaltending depth is.
No.
Would just be interesting. That's all. All right, let's see. So with Merenberg out, shall we shift over to Loke Johansson?
Yeah, unfortunately, I didn't send you any highlights on him, I don't think. But
no, the next one I have is a big boy.
Yeah. Well, let's do Loke real quick. Two games over the weekend, Saturday, Sunday, both big wins, 7-2 on Saturday against St. John Sea Dogs, and then 6-3 over Charlottetown on Sunday, both on the road. No points for our boy Loke. Some pretty decent, nice hits. Still love his physicality. Still love his defensive game. I don't think we're going to see much offense from him, even though that's what the Bruins want him to work on. But I do enjoy watching the type of game he plays, and I do think he would be a pretty effective shutdown defenseman moving forward. And again, I'm sure they're going to be questions about the World Junior Championships. Loke will come up then if those questions come up.
Absolutely. So another, like I said, the next one that you sent me some highlights for is one of our commonly discussed growing hockey minds, we'll call it. He's definitely a full-grown person.
He's a gorilla.
He's a fucking beast. Bruins fans will love this guy when he finally takes the ice in Providence. Probably as much. I mean, I'll put it this way: if you could have two Adam McQuaids on a line, you'd get Jackson Edward and Christian Konstadinsky. Obviously, they're not to the talent level of Adam McQuaid, but as far as the physical game, those two would be the Bash Brothers, to say, from the Mighty Ducks movies, just beating the shit out of people. Bear Force says, I was at the Saturday game. You looked okay, nothing special. Wildcats have been looking at some deals. They may want to improve on one of the Euro players.
Yeah, I don't think Loke's the one. Bruins had a role in getting him to Moncton, and they'll have a role on whether he's there again next year or not. And Moncton isn't about to burn any bridges, and neither is Boston. So if they're looking to move one of the Euros, I don't think it'll be Loki.
Not without some significant phone calls being made.
Yeah,
I would say from the sounds of it. But I do have the point pulled up, or the highlight from Christian Konstadinsky here pulled up. Do you want me to do this one at half speed?
this is the goal they scored, right?
I believe so.
Yeah, no, you can play it at full speed. I only sent you this so people can see the size difference after the celebration here between Konstadinsky and everybody else. So Konstadinsky's number 4 going in to the celebration here.
I mean, he's 4 feet away, and he's the height of everybody else.
Yeah, but it goes further, right? You know.
So a little bit further.
Yeah, so there's one there on his skating that I sent you as well.
I'll get that one pulled up.
Now, the issue with him was always his skating. He's done some improvement on it, which is why you see he wasn't totally completely embarrassed in this race, but he was beat. He's getting there. I don't know if it'll ever get to the point where we could say he's a surefire NHLer. But you know what? Justin Brazeau got there. Maybe Christian Konstadinsky can as well.
Yeah, and that's the biggest thing is he's working on it, and that's the part that matters the most. He's been coachable to trying to get better at it. So
they're in the Dubuque's in the ozone here. That's Konstadinsky near the blue line, turning to retreat. You'll see he's ahead of all 5 opponents right there. I'll let her go, Chris.
1 second. It's freezing up on me. Give me 1 second. I think it is my tabs. Let me see if I can get it going again. Or the clip is just not. I don't know why this clip isn't working for me. It is straight up just frozen. Oh, wait. Nope, that one doesn't want to work.
Well,
that's weird.
Anyway, he gets beat, and there's a breakaway going the other way, and they scored on it. So the good news is Dubuque played 2 games on Friday and Saturday. They lost Friday night to Cedar Rapids 6-3, and then beat them on Saturday night in the, what do you call it? The return matchup. Spicer did have a goal on Friday night. His first with Dubuque in the USHL. Now has a goal and 4 assists through 9 games on the season. I don't know what to make of him, whether he's going to want to try and get back to college next year or what the deal is. But he's worth keeping an eye on to see what happens. Kostadinsky, no points through the weekend, and same with Jonathan Morello.
I do have the goal from Spicer. That
Oh,
one
do
seems
you?
to want to. Yeah, that one seems to be okay with working. Now I believe he's one of the ones here in front of the net.
Yeah.
I'm trying to sort out which one he is.
The
as
high
well.
deflection.
The high deflection. Okay.
Yeah.
So he definitely has a nose for the puck in the front of the net.
Yeah, he could be a very good offensive player at this level. Again, I'm curious to see where he goes beyond this season, and that'll determine a long way as to whether he has pro upside or not.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see though, because he's had a lot going on off the ice. So, I'm sure for him there's a little bit of relief to just get back to hockey.
Yeah.
So, and then the only goaltending prospect in the system, Philip Svedback.
Oh man.
Providence College, they returned to action. They got the 3-1 win. He stopped, 19 of 20?
Yeah. This was the I hope I pronounce it right. You New Englanders, the Ledyard Classic, which Providence College ended up winning. As you said, they beat Northeastern 3-1 on Saturday. When it was still 2-0 for Providence. Big save by Svedback. And this is what I like about the good that he's done this year is he doesn't overreact. He stays calm, stays in position, and sometimes lets his athleticism take over. And I think you got the highlight of the save he made that I'm referring to.
And I slowed it down a little bit to the half speed because this is just a pure breakaway for the forward. And he doesn't panic. He stays controlled. He gets a great deflection on the save and deflects it to the corner.
Yep.
To the corner. So, like you said, he's not panicking. He's letting the game come to him. And what's his record now? Something like 10-2-1 or something?
11-2-1.
11-2-1.
Yeah.
So,
now, but there's two tales with Philip Svedback, and I've spoken about it here on this show several times. The difference with him this year, as opposed to past years, is that he doesn't have to start every game, and he looks better because of that. But on Sunday, they threw him back in the game or back in the net for the championship game. They won, but it was close. They were losing 3-2 at the end of the first, where he gave up 3 goals on 5 shots. And we have all 3 goals. And two of them, I guarantee you he would want back. So
yeah,
why don't we...
I'm trying to pull that one up right now because I refreshed where I had them just to try to get them try to get the other ones that weren't working here. Let's see. Allowing 3 goals on 5 shots. Here we go. Should I slow this one down?
Yeah, might as well.
All right. Sorry. Now, the back end, they're giving so much customization to these windows now. Like I can make it. It gives me so much more to click on when I go to pull up the video here. So that's why it's taking me a little longer. But you know what? We love the cool features. So 3 goals on 5 shots here. So that one looked like it went right through the legs.
Right through. He got part of it, but it's just not in control. Not in control. And that's one he would definitely like back. I think they're going to show a couple of different angles of this.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah. I mean, granted, it's a straight up breakaway, but it's still one that he's going to want back.
Yeah. I mean, his stick wasn't flat on the ice.
He just didn't seem settled. And it was 5 minutes into the game.
The first 2 shots beat him. Like he lifted his stick there and it beat him cleanly. Second goal, if I remember correctly, was a double deflection. He had no chance on it. At least I don't think he did. Court's in the house. He'll probably tell me differently and say, no, he had trouble tracking the puck.
Real quick, Bear Force, hope you have a great new year as well. We will be back on Sunday as well. Look forward to seeing you there. So thanks for jumping in while you've been here, and hope you have a great new year. So, and welcome, Court. Yes, we are breaking plays down as much as we can. We have permission to use the footage thanks to our good friends over at Dom.Hockey, and so they have allowed us to break down the footage. Court, if you ever want to jump on and break it down with us, you're more than welcome. You know that. Let me see here. Do you want me to play the one that was double deflected? It's kind of grainy, so it might be a little tough for viewers to follow, but we'll get it pulled up here. Let's see.
So puck's on the left there, deflects off of 2 guys in front. We'll see a different angle of it.
I'm trying to slow it down a little bit.
Some people say that he had trouble tracking the puck. I don't see it because the angle from behind the net clearly shows Svedback looking around bodies and knowing exactly where the puck was. Did it sneak
this angle
through?
right here?
Yeah. So you see, he'll get up here. He'll peek around bodies. He knows where it is.
Yeah, he's looking for that the whole way. I mean, you've got, 2 pairs of bodies in front of him, 3 in front of him when that shot's taken. And it deflects. It goes through a pinball machine. Like, it's going to happen.
And then the third one definitely should have had in my book. So, while you cue that up, I'll just say, he has the ability to be a backup goaltender in the NHL at some point, but nothing more than that. So the question is, what do the Bruins do with goaltending? They definitely need to find a goaltender in this draft.
All right, this is that third one here. That one squeezed through. Yeah, he should have had that one. That one took a good 3 seconds to squeeze through.
Yeah.
A good, because he gets the catch right there and he's holding, and it's just peeking through. That is definitely one you can't let in, starter or backup.
Credit to his teammates, though. They locked it down after that. Dartmouth only had 2 shots on goal in the second period and 5 in the third. So they didn't give Spedback much of an opportunity to let in a softie after that.
Which is good. I mean, goaltenders are going to have off nights. They need their teammates to pick them up. So, I similar to what I was asking about Mirenberg, where's his head at? A lot of development is where's the player's mind at. If he is able to put this game in the past and move on from it, great. Let's see how he comes out in his next start. That would be my question, because he had a hell of a performance one night. Not a great one, but his teammates bailed him out of it. So let's see how he performs in that third start coming out. Let's see, where else do we go from here? Was that do we have any
That's
other
it.
prospects? That's it, other than Providence, huh?
Yeah, we go to Providence, and we'll start with Friday night. Defeated Bridgeport 4-1, and we'll start with Fabian Lysel's goal just before he got called up to Boston.
Let's
And
see.
Cord, if he hasn't seen it, will like this one.
The Fabian Lysel goal. Sorry, I was flipping through some of the other ones that we got. I think Court will like this one. I think Court will like the Poitras ones that we got coming up too. Because if I'm not mistaken, over on his page, Bruins Diehards, he's been starting the horn to get Poitras called back up. So I don't know if starting is the proper term, but I know he's calling for it now. So, all right, let's get this one going here. I've got this one slowed down a little bit. Let's
So
walk
that's
us through what we got here.
That's Lysel going up the middle
The
here,
middle.
gets the puck down
Looked
to the
like he tried to do a
circle.
little give and go there.
He did. Just ripped it just inside the post. He's capable of that shot. He's capable of beating goaltenders with that shot, as we just saw. Must note, because we're going to hear this a lot, is Riley Tufte had the assist on this one. So anyway, after Lysel gave him the 1-0 lead, it was Tufte who put them up 2-0. Did I send you that goal?
Yep, and I've got that one mostly queued up and ready to go as well.
Yeah. So sorry, Tufte had the assist on
Lysel's goal.
The first Lysel goal. Lysel then set up Tufte for the next goal. So let her go here, Chris.
Pass up the boards here. Lysel dishes it off. Or no, he's got the puck carrying it
This
in.
pass was amazing. Absolutely amazing. Backhand saucer pass right on the blade for Tufte down to one knee and rip it home.
Can I also just point out, like, he's got two guys beat right here. He has every ability and the talent to take this shot on his own. We've seen him do it in the past. Maybe he doesn't go in, and it wouldn't necessarily beat an NHL goaltender, but that doesn't mean he wouldn't try.
Really tough in this situation is a right-hand shot.
But the backhand pass over to Tufte, the awareness, the fact that he chose to go for the pass, though, because he very easily could have made the option to go for the shot. Like you said, very difficult as a right-handed shot, so he chose the proper path to go for the pass, and that's a playmaking power. Like that's the ability to make plays right there.
Yeah. So Tyler Pitlick, we have to talk a little bit about him. I think he's 32 years of age. He's in his 30s anyway. Signed to American Hockey League contract. Then scores his 8th of the season from from Brown and Max Jones. And then Tufty would close out the scoring for Providence with assists from, again, Farinacci and Lysell. So I think I sent you that goal, did I not? The highlights of that goal? Tufty's second of the game. Are you on mute?
Here.
There you go.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
I think my microphone is dying on me, so I'm going to switch over to my other one real quick. But do you want me to pull up the highlights of the first goal?
The Tufty's second goal. Can't hear you. Now I can hear you.
All right. I'll pull up Tufty's second goal here.
And while you play that, send Cord a link.
Oh, I will. We'll love to have Court jump in on here. Let's get this pulled up. I'll let you walk through what's going on here.
I have to see it. I honestly don't remember the goal. Oh, yeah. That's Farinacci to Lysell along the boards, catches Tufty coming down.
Well,
Beats three guys.
That one paused on me, too. That one was playing for me before.
Rips it home. And finally, Michael DiPietro, we got to say, stopped 31 to 32 shots for the win. He's now top 5 in goals against average and save percentage in the American Hockey League.
There we go. Hopefully we'll get an unexpected guest who is a great friend of the show here coming in just a minute while we wait for him. Oh,
yeah.
I love it. He's always waiting for the link when he says send me one. Court, welcome aboard. How we doing?
I'm good. Just got home from dinner.
Court, what's up, buddy? What'd you have?
I went to Jack Astor's. My daughter's having a sleepover tonight, so I had the fried chicken sandwich with rice. You know,
making me hungry, and I already ate. So I feel like the next second coming of Kevin over here.
Oh God.
Oh.
But yeah, welcome to the film breakdown part of the show.
The film breakdown. Yeah, no, I saw that.
Yes.
Sorry, my daughter was asking if I'm filming.
Did she enjoy her Christmas break?
I would assume so. She's still on it. She doesn't go back to school until Monday, of next week.
How about the holiday itself? Her Christmas
Yes, no,
day?
she had a fantastic. Santa was good to her.
Awesome. Got her everything she was looking for, I hope.
I hope so. I doubt that. Kids are never satisfied, but she got enough.
Ain't that the truth? Well, I have one more from Dom here. Let me see if I can go back to it because for some reason it wasn't looking to play. It was Jones. Did Max Jones get a goal?
Oh, yeah,
on Saturday.
On Saturday. That's right. We were on. Sorry, I'm looking through the Saturday highlights. We got all them to go through.
Oh, Max Jones. He's a highlight of himself, eh? Just a human highlight reel, that boy. Oh.
Should we start with Farinacci's goal?
I know I'm being sarcastic,
because Farinacci had a really, really good weekend. Yeah, he scored in the first minute on Saturday, if I remember correctly.
This says 18:30, so first two, we'll call it.
Okay.
We'll roll this one through here.
Okay. How did Hartford not be first on the puck?
Who knows, eh?
Oh my God.
But that's him well, actually they were. They tried to pass
No,
out
they
in
weren't.
front.
If you look at it, they weren't first on the puck. They get the puck, but they have 3 guys, and look how slow they look. Like Pasternak on a line change here.
Yeah.
Because
right
look,
here,
the Providence 49, he pushes the puck to them. They
Oh,
weren't even
wow.
first on that puck. He gives it to them, and then they give it to. Oh my God. 26. I can't see
reaches
names.
and intercept.
That was Farinacci.
That's Farinacci.
Farinacci.
Right place, right time.
Going on a limb here and saying he's Italian.
I don't know, but I like him. I really like him. I liked him last year, and they hit the rookie wall in Providence, and then started out a little slow this year, but has really, really picked it up right now. Here's a guy I can see getting a call up to Boston to get a look.
Well, I think there's someone that Court would rather have called up first.
Actually, I maybe you didn't see my video today. I am, and Dom and I were texting. I think I am more in the. I think the Bruins actually have a plan, and they're actually going to stick with it. I truly, because I know they are plan oriented. So with regards to goaltending, which is hilarity in itself most of the time with people like who's starting. The Bruins know who's starting like a month in advance. They literally pick their goalie.
Right.
Like they get the schedule at the beginning of the month, and Bob sits down and he says, "Here's who I think should be going." The only time it can change is if Bob comes to Joe and says, "Hey, I'm seeing this. Maybe we should do this." Otherwise, the goalie is set. Like they've set their goalie.
Yep.
I truly, truly think, based on his position and based on everything we're seeing and how well he's playing, that they are not coming. Matthew Poitras is not getting a call up anytime soon. And if he does, it's because someone has an injury and they're only going to call him up to play center.
That's one of the things that I was thinking when they first sent him down. Because I don't think they want him on the wing.
They do not want him on the wing.
And where you look at this team going forward, I mean, right now they're kind of forced to put Zacha at center because that's working with Pasternak.
You can't. They're actually like Zacha. He's not missing the net anymore. Like they're buzzing. Like they're doing fine.
Yeah,
I think. And it's something that Dom has been kind of like racking into my brain in the last little bit. They have a chance of winning the Calder Cup in Providence. They have a very good team that is playing very good hockey, and that is contagious to players in the room. That is something the Detroit Red Wings used to do with Grand Rapids back in the day. Ottawa used to do it with Bennington when they had Jason Spezza down there. These teams allowed their players, like Detroit was known for it. The Zetterberg, all of them, they all had to play in the minors, all of them. And Ottawa used to do it too. And these guys would come up. Now, for me, you look at Poitras right now, I think he needs to play in the top 6. And right now in Boston, he doesn't play in the top 6. I think he needs to be stronger on the puck. He probably is definitely getting there. But at the beginning of the year, he was hesitant going in the corners. He looked like a guy who definitely knew he had an injury and was worried he was going to get injured again. And when he got that big hit, I think it was against Philly. Was it Provorov took that hit on him?
Yes,
I think the look on his face was more of like, "Oh my God, thank God I'm not injured." So he had to get that out of his head. He's now in Providence. He's calmed down. He's playing very well, good hockey. Him and Fabian Lysell, if you look at it, they both kind of like stuttered a bit when their first little bit in Providence.
And Georgi Merkula as well.
and they're humming,
playing a lot
right now.
Yeah.
They're humming. So I think that their plan with Poitras is he is staying in Providence unless someone gets injured, especially with the way the team is playing.
And to add that to that court, he is now playing in every situation, which he was not going to in Boston. He's killing penalties. He's out there 6-on-5. He's out there 5-on-6. He's out there on 4-on-4s. He's out there in overtime. He's getting every single possible situation, which he would not have gotten in Boston.
He's not going to be the difference maker if he came up to Boston right now. He would be their third line center, and he doesn't play on the penalty kill. The Boston Bruins are the most penalized team in the NHL. He isn't going to play. Perfect example. Fabian Lysell had a very good first period. He didn't have the best second period, and I think because of that 4-minute major that he didn't get his shift going into the second period, and then he sat on the bench for an additional 8 minutes almost before he got back on the ice. That
Yeah.
can kill a guy. So for guys like Lysell and Poitras, the Bruins, people don't want to hear, Bruins aren't winning a cup this year. So they don't look like a cup team. There's nothing about the Boston Bruins that screams they're a cup team. So why rush these guys? They've done it in the past. JFK, Anders Bjork. The list is long of the guys that they've rushed from Providence and tried to like pigeonhole into a third line role. And then everybody's like, Peter Kaharek. All these guys where people were like, well, why can't these guys play well? It's because you're not really giving them minutes, and then they're just sitting there. Yeah, I 100%. Boston
Kevin.
Gamma.
It's Kevin.
Sorry?
Kevin.
Oh, yeah,
good friend of the show.
I
Poitras.
100% agree with Kevin on this. I am all for leaving Poitras down in Providence. I'm all for what they just did with Lysell. I truly, truly think you'll see Lysell again. But Poitras, because he plays center, there is zero reason, unless, say, Charlie Coyle goes down with an injury, in a heartbeat, Poitras gets called up.
Although with Coyle playing on the wing, would that be your first call up?
You're unless you maybe Merkulov, but even if you think about it, Merkulov played well when he got called up, right? Lysell has now played well when he got called up. So what's that tell the Boston Bruins organization? These guys could be ready, but let's keep them down there because they're going to keep building. I saw a highlight. I think, Dom, you posted on Twitter, that goal that Merkulov scored the other night. Jesus. Like, that guy's got he's got a nice shot. And we already know that both Merkulov and Lysell can play at the NHL level. We know Poitras can play at the NHL level. So now the Boston Bruins know they have three guys that can play at the NHL level. So what are they going to do? They're going to teach all three of them how to play both ways. So by the time they come up and play for the Boston Bruins, they can do both things. Because as much as everybody, like, Lysell played okay, but I'm sure you saw it, Dom, there was two plays where one, he got greedy and he tried on the power play, he tried to carry the puck into the zone when he should have passed it off, and instantly he got the puck stripped. And then in the second period, when he hadn't been out for like 12 minutes of the period until he finally got his shift, he tried to do it again, where he tried to go through the neutral zone without passing it off and thought that he could do what he can do in the AHL, and he learned a lesson. He got stripped of the puck twice. And I guarantee you when he went to that bench that Kelly came over to him and was like, here's what you did wrong. Not that it was bad, but here's what you did wrong. And Poitras wouldn't have done that. But Lysell, because he doesn't have that NHL experience, he thought he could go through those guys. And he did it twice.
Yeah, and
and I mentioned last night, there was a couple of instances too where it was late in a shift where we would have seen Lysell be selfish, and he's at the opposition blue line. We would have seen him be selfish and keep going and then turn over the puck, but not in that game. When he got to that point, he was actually putting it in a position where they couldn't recover and went off for the change. So he's learning.
Yeah, he also did an amazing back check one time. Like, literally, like, end to end, like, came back. He was the only guy that came back quick. Like, I thought he looked night and day different than the guy that we saw in the preseason. Night and day.
Yes.
He looked like the guy that everybody thought.
Let's say he looked like a guy that wanted it.
Agreed, Dom. And I also think if he played that way in the preseason, he would have made the team out of camp.
Yes.
Yeah.
100%.
Now, this is why I say Farinacci is going to get a look, is because what you say of Poitras and what they want to do is, and I think that Farinacci, the way he's playing, has earned that look. I think he's playing superb in Providence right now.
Because they only have
Solid
guys that go in that
game.
third line now. Like, if you're going to call anybody up, you're slotting him into the third line unless someone in your top six gets hurt.
Yeah, and that's exactly where he would go.
Would you
where
have him
he would
center
go.
the third line?
Yeah,
Frederick's been terrible there. So
yeah, anything to get Frederick on.
Anything.
Anything.
Can we just get into, like, he's getting traded? Like, wow. Like him going to center, I was just like, all right, so you're showcasing the living daylights out of him. And I think the best part about the whole Frederick thing is no matter what team takes him, they're going to overpay to get him because of his skill set that he no longer uses. But they all think he still has it, but he doesn't use it anymore. And he probably will. But ever since he lost Montgomery, he looks like a lost puppy out there because he was a crybaby for Butch. And then he got Montgomery and he was no longer a crybaby. And now he's just lost him. And he has a Butch clone that's behind that bench now that takes no guff.
Yeah.
I mean, who would be the? Well, we'll dive into that later.
Also, Kevin, size never matters in the NHL, especially coming from my family. Size doesn't matter.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's in regards to Kevin's next comment.
5'10", the guy's a giant.
It's not the biggest deal, but I would like a lot of the up and comers are 5'10" and shorter. If you can play though, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, size doesn't make a difference anymore.
How many
Especially
times-
it's the no hit league. Like if you think about it, Dom, look what they're doing in the juniors. They're literally getting rid of body checking. Like the amount of I said this to somebody I was watching the game on the weekend. 10 years from now, we're going to be talking about how the NHL there's 10 hits a game. Because it's not going to be a thing anymore.
I'm afraid it's coming. It is.
Yeah, and it's funny though that you were talking about the path that they were talking about with Poitras. Did you see the comments that came from John Tortorella regarding Matvei Mitkov? Because that's exactly what they're doing with him. They're just doing it with him at the NHL level. He got benched for the entire third period the other day. And so naturally Torts was asked about it.
Sorry, Kevin.
He went on this whole big thing, basically saying like, because he's making defensive mistakes, we have to reel it in. We'll let him play his offense if the defensive game is there. And so the Bruins are just saying, we're going to do that, but not at the NHL level. Go do that in Providence. And like you said, Providence has a good shot at winning the cup here.
I just think Poitras just needs to get his confidence back. I think this sounds weird.
For him, it's a confidence thing.
The worst thing the Bruins could have done last year is let him go to World Juniors because he didn't light it up. He wasn't the best player on the team, and he was the guy that's playing on an NHL team. So that actually can hurt your confidence from a player's perspective. And then he comes back and gets hurt.
Well, didn't he get hurt in the World Juniors last year?
He gets hurt a lot.
He was actually hurt before.
So it's just it's those things that I don't know. I think Poitras is playing a lot better from those highlights that I see from Dom putting out. He looks stronger on the puck. On that Merkulov goal, it was him who gets Merkulov shoots the puck, but Poitras does all the work on it.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good sign.
Yeah, Kevin adds in the hope is that you can get 10 or 11 goals out of someone like Wallstrom down the stretch on the third line. But, man, that whole line just seems like a problem most nights. Main factor, Freddie.
Fredick doesn't look like he wants to be there. I don't know, man. He doesn't. I don't want
to say Frederick is the only problem. Like I had an issue with Brazil playing his offside. Even knowing that he had done it in the past, he did it with the North Bay Battalion in the OHL. He did it with Fabian Lysell on the right side in the American Hockey League. And the two of them look good. And Lysell actually had Frederick moving his feet. Frederick had to move his feet to keep up to him.
I can't believe how good Brasso and Lysell played together.
Well, a lot of chemistry between the two. A lot of chemistry. So is Frederick the only reason? No, but he's the main reason. I think John Fiorinacci would be an absolute great fit to try between Brazo and somebody on the right. Give Frederick a couple of games to watch up from upstairs.
You can't do that when you're trying to trade him, though. Like, I don't care what anybody says. I don't have inside information. There's no doubt in my mind that the Boston Bruins are not shopping him. There is no contract extension. They will move him before the deadline. He's gone.
Oh, no doubt in my mind.
Gone.
No doubt in my mind.
There's like Montreal is already like screaming we'll overpay for him, which is hilarious. I still think if he gets to the end of the year, he's going to sign in St. Louis. He's pretty much said as much, which is hilarity in itself. It's almost as
Yeah.
bad as the unkept secret that like Montgomery was playing hardball with the Bruins because he wasn't going to sign a contract extension because he already had the shirt in his closet, for God's sakes. Like that guy was he was already out the door. Frederick looks like a guy out the door. Like the amount of things the Bruins are doing lately, like he's leading the stretches. They're putting him on the power play. They're putting him at center. They're putting him to be the guy that's available for media after the game. And I'm just like, you're propping this guy up. You're literally propping him up. He's gone.
Which is their job to do.
It's smart.
It's now. I guess my question is because let's say you do make a move for Frederick, regardless of what you bring in for him, you still went out and you got Wahlstrom. Where does he fit into all this now? You got him for nothing.
Hold on. Hold on. Go back to Frederick because I do want to ask for
I'll let you do
an
that.
important question here. One of the things I'm hearing is you can't trade Trent Frederick to an Eastern Conference team. And I said, why not? Like, why are you afraid of Trent Frederick?
He doesn't fight anybody anymore.
Why are you afraid of? I said, you traded Linus Ullmark to Ottawa, and I'm told that's a different situation. And I'm thinking to myself, how is it different? They had 15 other options they could have used with Linus Ullmark. They chose Ottawa because it was the best deal.
Yeah, you take the best deal for the player.
So,
well, I think Dom, I think it's because Montreal is that other team that wants him real bad, and it's like almost out of spite. They don't want to work with Montreal. It could be like I can't see Tampa wanting Trent Frederick. He doesn't look like a Tampa Bay Lightning. He doesn't look like
no, not at all.
Like I look at the teams that would want Trent Frederick, probably the Toronto Maple Leafs, but they don't have the assets. Okay, so then they're out of the conversation. So because the Florida Panthers would definitely want Trent Frederick, but at the same time, they wouldn't want to pay for him because they already have 15 of them on the roster. So, the Montreal Canadiens, I think those rumors are real that they really want him. I think the St. Louis Blues want him, but Dom and I off official media, we went through the whole. I don't see how St. Louis can pull that off unless it's the terrible one that I mentioned to you that one time, Don. I don't know how St. Louis can do it because the money coming the other way doesn't help the Bruins. The Bruins are going to want a roster player back for Trent Frederick, and they're going to want a winger because they've got 8 centermen on this team. Like they need some guys that can play on the right side. So that's what they're going to go for, and they're going to want a guy that is proven that he's all they want. Here's the boxes: a guy who could skate and he scored 20 goals. That's it. There's who you can get for Trent Frederick. Whatever team's got that guy on their team and they're willing to move him because they want toughness, and I'm air quoting because Trent Frederick hasn't been tough in a year and a half, which is interesting. He hasn't been tough since Butch was there. When Butch would get mad at him for trying to get in 3 fights a game.
That's right.
But he hasn't been tough in forever. Like the fan base was like, "Oh, Frederick's tough." I'm like, when has he been tough? He doesn't go to the net. He doesn't get tough in the corners. He doesn't move anybody in front of the. He doesn't do anything. So I don't know. I just look at the Bruins are going to want a winger that can get 15 to 20 goals, and Trent Frederick is yours. And they'll get it too because teams are going to say, "Oh, Trent Frederick is the exact guy we need for the playoffs." When I've looked back on games and I'm like, I'll just look back on the series against Toronto, and I'm like, Frederick wasn't a difference maker. He was a nothing maker. Brazeau was a bigger net front and a bigger guy mucking up in the corners last year than Trent Frederick was.
Do you think they're looking for specific age range for the player?
No, I think as much as I would wish they were, I don't think they are. But I think they want a guy with term. I don't think they want a UFA. They want a guy with term because that's the Boston Bruin way. But it's not Chris Kreider. Okay.
No,
Rangers aren't doing that.
And the Rangers aren't doing that either.
It's not a thing.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
I
I just think A team, you know where he would be awesome, Dom? New Jersey.
Oh yeah, yeah. He would.
He would
And
be
you have a
very good
trade
in New
history with
Jersey.
New Jersey.
New Jersey, New Jersey just feels right, but like he is signing with the St. Louis Blues next year. Like that's so whatever team's getting him, he ain't staying. Dom's now looking at New Jersey's roster. I just feel like
I
they
am too.
make way too much sense.
Yeah,
They just make way too much sense. They're a team that's on the cusp of winning the Stanley Cup this year. Like they made some smart moves in the offseason. They look deadly out there. They'll have some stinkers, but they don't look like the Toronto Maple Leafs for the last couple of years where you call them a regular season team because the Devils, they've got a goalie. They've got defense, and they've
yeah,
got Jack Hughes.
Yeah, the question though is
yeah.
who are you taking off of the roster from New Jersey? Like if you're New Jersey, who are you willing to?
Well, I'm just looking at perfect fits. I'm just
I know.
in my brain here. I'm just like we looked at St. Louis up and down, and the only thing that can come back the other way is Brandon Saad, and I don't want it. I just don't. I don't want it.
Yeah.
And 4 years ago, yeah, the Bruins had interest in Brandon Saad.
What if
but
it was Saad
I
with
doubt that they have interest
pick
now.
of like next year's 4th or 3rd round pick or something?
Yeah, St. Louis would overpay because St. Louis could get him an extension, and he also has the Montgomery thing there.
Yeah.
So St. Louis, you could probably
St.
get,
Louis only has 3 picks.
what do they got?
They only have 3 picks.
They have their 1st, the 5th, and the 6th.
So they're not trading any picks.
No, I'm talking about next year's pick.
Yeah.
2026, say 3rd rounder.
Bruins don't want 2020.
Plus you got
Bruins want 2025.
I figured just
we looked at St. Louis up and down, Chris, and Dom and it just crossed them off the list. I was texting him one day and we were going through it and we just crossed them off because it just doesn't make sense. It makes perfect sense for him to sign there next year. He has made it clear that he loves St. Louis, everything about St. Louis. He screams that he's going to be a St. Louis Blue or a Florida Panther with his best friend Kachuk. But like either way, he is not a Boston Bruin next year. So move on from the guy and don't be like Jake DeBrusk where you're like Jake DeBrusk annoys me for the fact that the Bruins knew he wasn't coming back last year and the fan base still clamors over like, oh, Sweeney didn't sign DeBrusk. Well, DeBrusk sold his condo last year. He was gone. He was gone halfway through the year. Should have moved him then.
Yeah, and as Kevin points out here, I haven't liked Freddie's attitude for years. End of season interviews with him treating everything like a joke. That's always rubbed me the wrong way. So I'm with you. I think Freddie should be moved.
I have zero issue with his attitude. I just think I just don't think the Bruins are going to re-sign him, and I don't think his asset. They have other guys that can do it already. They've got Kastelik does it tenfold what Frederick used to do, and he wins faceoffs too.
Yeah. What about a team like Winnipeg?
What are you getting back though? You're not getting Ellers.
Well, would he fit there?
Yes.
Okay.
That's another team.
I don't think he'd
want to go there.
I don't think he would re-sign.
Well, I don't think he's re-signing anywhere he goes, Dom. Maybe New Jersey. He's going to want to go to the United States. He's not going to want to go to Canada because all the players don't. Winnipeg, if they want to, sure, Winnipeg's a very good team. But Winnipeg, once again, you're now looking at a team that's probably not willing to give anything off their roster. You need to have a team like the Los Angeles Kings or a team that's probably going to make the playoffs, but they're probably willing to be like, we can sign them. We'll give you something off our roster to get them. Like, because the Kings have tried with guys, right? They got Tanner Jeannot there now, right? Is Jeannot there now?
Yeah.
Got him from Tampa. They're always trying to get big size and get bigger, but we know New Jersey's looking for size and get bigger. And you're going to be willing to do a hockey trade because Trent Frederick will be a hockey trade. You're going to have a roster player for a roster player. So you're going to trade speed and skill for Trent Frederick. That's what you're going to do.
What about Colorado?
I picked McKinnon at the beginning of the year to win the Hart Trophy. I even bet on it. I double checked. I was like, that's a $500 win I'm going to get if he wins. But Colorado is very good. He's probably going to win the Hart Trophy. But
would you, if you're trading him knowing he's a rental, I know Boston ideally wants someone with term, but what if they went with someone could they go with someone who's a UFA who could potentially re-sign for a couple years?
Could, yeah.
What about Dallas?
Dallas isn't playing good hockey right now, so maybe they're willing to shake things up.
No.
I just don't. Problem with Dallas is guys don't want to leave there. It's just they're not. I don't know if I want to take someone on a roster of a team that should be way better than they are, and they're playing like poo poo doo doo right now.
Fair.
Like, what are you gonna do? Like, look at Wyatt Johnson's struggling. They ain't moving him. Okay, like he would be the best ever, but there's not a chance in the world Dallas is moving that kid.
No,
Especially for Trent Frederick.
Oh, and Dallas also has big and tough guys. They've already got that.
Yeah.
Like, I look at teams that need what he has, and I think Dom's right. Colorado is one of them. New Jersey's one of them. LA is one of them. There's not many teams that are possibly like St. Louis is one of them, but they don't have the pieces. I look at teams that are going to make the playoffs and they think they're going to go on a possible run. And New Jersey, New Jersey kicked the can on Milan Lucic, and then when it got to the media, it was like, all right, no, we weren't really doing that, but they probably were. If he was practicing with some of the guys, they definitely were. He's not from the area. There's no reason for him to be there.
Yeah. Kevin says, I wonder if the Utah Hockey Club would kick tires on Freddie.
Is Utah even going to make the playoffs?
They're fighting for it.
Fighting for it and making it are two different things.
But they also have Liam O'Brien.
Yeah, but he's not going to play in the playoffs. So that's the difference. So what you're just saying, it's great they have Liam O'Brien, but Liam O'Brien, as soon as the playoffs start, he doesn't play.
They got to be in the playoffs for it to matter.
But that's all I'm saying. A guy like Liam O'Brien doesn't touch the ice in the playoffs. You don't need a guy who fights. You need what you think you're getting when you trade for Trent Frederick, because whatever team thinks what they're getting, that's not what they're getting. They're not getting this tough guy that can score goals, because Frederick only does that when he plays St. Louis this year and nothing else. So I don't know. I just think Frederick's gone, and I'm going to spend way more time now looking at Colorado and New Jersey and trying to work out a trade in my brain. Okay, because they make sense.
Well, I'll throw one more at you.
San Jose.
And
that was the other one I thought of, even though they're not making playoffs.
It would be a pure rental for them, because there's no way Frederick would re-sign with them. But then that lowers the price if you're the Bruins, and that would be Edmonton.
Oh, oh my God, he'd be like the perfect guy for them, because one, Freddie wouldn't have to be the man because they already have those guys. And two, the issue is the two guys that you could have traded for Fred, the one guy, Holloway, he's no longer there. He's in St. Louis. Yeah. He's the perfect guy that the Bruins could have traded for Trent Frederick, is Dylan Holloway, because the guy can score everywhere he goes. It's what he does. He scores goals.
Yeah.
And he's a big enough body, then he can skate. But he's now in St. Louis with a overpay, if I've ever heard of one.
Yeah, it's certainly going to be interesting. I'm with you, though. I will have to look and get the trade.
He's gone, though. Like, if we could bet on this, he's gone. And the other reason he is gone is because if you go up and down the roster, there's not many guys they can trade.
That too. Yeah, there's not a lot there.
If Dom, you know who I think could go to Colorado if they were offered the right deal, is Brandon Carlo, because he's got a 15 team, but Colorado ain't on that list that he can't go to.
No.
Okay, so
and Colorado's wanted Carlo for years.
What if you were to do a package, say, with a Brandon Carlo and Trent Frederick?
And what are you getting?
That's my question. How much does that increase the value of what you can get back in return?
Yeah, but so the issue, and people probably don't want to hear this, if you're trading Brandon Carlo, you need another guy to fill his role on the PK.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Exactly.
So, and you don't have that right now. You don't have a backup Brandon Carlo on your team.
No, and you can't even.
People can get mad at him and say he's garbage or whatever. He's your best penalty killer. So
yeah, and you don't even have a Hampus Lindholm to lean on at all right now
Sorry, he's
Let
your
alone-
second best penalty killer because Elias Lindholm in the last 5 games has been he's putting on a clinic on the PK. He like literally is showing people like, hey, this is how you do a penalty kill. Like it's been impressive, that guy. And his faceoffs, Jesus Christ, that guy can't lose a draw.
I think Carlo's
Yeah.
been super underappreciated his entire
agree.
tenure here.
I think he's fantastic. He's got a very, very smart stick. He puts his
Yes.
stick in the right spot a lot. Yes, every now and then it'll go off his stick and go in the net, and you could probably look at that. Or it'll hit off his skate and go in the net. It's because he's putting himself in the situation to get in front of the puck, and he's trying to put his stick in front of it. It's not because he's trying to get away from it. So that's the thing. Like Brandon Carlo blocks shots, but he does it so smart. He reminds me a lot of Derek Forbert. He just got more skill than Forbert. That's all. Forbert didn't have skill, but he could get in front of the puck. But
Yeah.
Brandon Carlo is one of the Bruins' best defensemen. It is what it is. As much as you hate people don't want to hear it, he's way too valuable on the defensive end. His defensive stick is just disgusting. So you would have to get that back. And I look at Colorado and they got Manson. I'm like, meh.
Yeah, no thanks.
Yeah, no.
You know what I mean?
Not in the,
And like Buffalo's got Byram, and people are gonna have to overpay for him, and no one's gonna do a deal with Buffalo. Like it's just a bunch of losers on a team. Like, why do you want to bring that onto your roster? Look at Jack Eichel. He just made an interview. I watched an interview today with him, and they were talking about how he's in the top 10 in scoring, but he hasn't been scoring a lot lately. And he says, "Well, I'm working harder on my other side of my game because when we go to the playoffs, that's all that matters." And I was like, man, I love that guy.
He gets
Like
it.
he gets it, and that's when Carlo is at his best.
He gets it.
He's one of your best players in the playoffs, bar none.
Oh yeah, and that's where, like you said, you've got to look at what else you'd be stapling in the deal. Frederick doesn't have trade protection. Neither does Geeky. Wallstrom, who you just acquired, you really, you know,
no one's taking him. He was going to clear waivers. He
I was
would
going to
clear
say, do we
waivers
know
again.
of anybody else who put in a waiver claim that didn't get him?
No, I doubt it. And after watching him his first 2 games from Boston, no one's going to do it after the fact.
Do you see him getting waived down to Providence at some point?
Yeah. He's got, I say, and correct me if I'm wrong, Dom, he's got 3 more games with Sacco. Sacco's got a very short leash. He's like Butch. He can be like, all right, I've seen enough.
Very, very short.
He's seen enough. He moves on.
I like Kevin's comment. If Buffalo has anything we can get for Anders Bjork in a second, I'm in.
I used Anders Bjork as an example today of a guy that had so much potential, but the Bruins put so much pressure on that kid and started him up and put him on a line with Bergeron and everything. And everybody was like, they definitely gave him an opportunity, but I think they set him up to fail. I think he should have been in Providence. He needed to learn the system.
Yeah.
And he looked lost out there all the time.
You mean he needed what they're doing to Fabian Lysell?
Yeah, and Matthew Poitras and Merkulov. Like I was high on Merkulov at the beginning of the year, and then when in the preseason, I was like, all right, he's terrible, because they looked terrible in the preseason. And now both Lysell and Merkulov, when they've come up, they have looked good on the defensive stick, and that's all they needed. They have the other skills.
Yeah. Yeah, they've had that offensive ability for a while. It's just developing everything else, and the NHL is not a developmental league. Now, if you're a team like Anaheim or even Philly or Buffalo, yeah, you can afford to let some guys learn at the NHL level, but you're trying to compete year in and year out. You're not looking to have guys develop into NHL players in the NHL. You do what we're talking about. They might be doing with guys like Farinacci and Lysell later this year. You call them up, give them a game or two, give them a little taste, send them back down to work on some stuff, bring someone else up, and kind of sprinkle in their games. And
Don, what about Carolina?
Oh,
for Frederick?
Yeah. They got speed and skill coming out of yin yang. They got nobody that can do anything else.
But what would you be getting back?
Or the Wild.
I don't know that.
Oof.
I don't know that Brenda Moore.
Yeah, good point.
Would be interested with Trent Frederick.
But Billy Guerin might in Minnesota.
Billy Guerin might.
What are you getting back though?
Minnesota, they got tons of speed and skill.
But they have a lot of guys with no movement clauses.
Oh, okay. They're like a Boston Bruins.
Yeah, so like Matt Boldy has no trade protection.
You're not getting Matt Boldy.
And you're not getting him. And then Yakov Trenin. Those are the guys up front. And then you have Bogosian, Merrill, and other guys on the back end. Like,
Forget defensemen.
it's not happening.
They don't need defensemen.
Yeah, the Bruins do not need defense.
Unless you have like Frederick Gaudreau, who has a modified 15-team no trade list. But other than that,
I don't think it's a good. Yeah, I don't think it's a good.
No, I'm
fit.
looking at Minnesota's roster. I take that back.
unless you want Jakob Lauko back.
I do, but no.
No. Another team he'd be a good fit.
I
on.
like Kevin's comment here.
He would be a fit on. Maybe not a good trade fit would be Vancouver.
Yeah,
Kevin
but
says it's
Holander already got moved, right?
I don't know. I'll check.
Who?
No, hold on. I think that was just a fake. Yeah, no, Holanger's still in Vancouver.
Yeah, he's still.
I like Nils Holander.
But they just extended him.
I mean,
So what does that
they
mean?
could trade him for Jake DeBrusk.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Dom, now you're just trolling people.
So,
I like
so
Kevin's comment
hardcore.
though. It's almost like Providence isn't a graveyard for NHL careers.
The only problem with Holander is he's a lefty. He shoots left. They need guys on the right side.
Kevin says Bruins like to get the whole family tree on the roster at some point, so get Foligno and call it a day.
Here's my thinking, though, Court, is it doesn't matter whether you get if you get a lefty, that means you can put him in Geeky's spot and move Geeky to the second line. If you get a righty, you can put him in the right spot and move Coyle back to 3C.
I'll give all the fans.
I'll
give all the fans a bonus. You can get Connor Garland.
Oh,
I don't want him.
been there, done that.
You know what frustrates the living daylights out of me? They were so close to getting Brock Besser.
So,
damn it.
Still need to get Kevin Hayes too. Mike asks, what's the basis for only trading Freddie for a roster player? Why not someone almost ready in the American Hockey League?
Because that's what they need.
Yeah, the Boston Bruins don't do that. You guys got to look who your general manager is, your owner is, and your president. They carbon copy, do the same signing, same trades every year, and they're not changing that. The fact that they're letting Poitras sit down in Providence is just galaxy branding, but whatever. I'm okay with it.
To answer the question with a question, when was the last time the Bruins traded a player for a prospect?
It wasn't a draft pick.
Yeah.
Tuukka Rask. Andrew Ray Crawford, Tuukka Rask.
That's a good point.
I'm serious.
Yeah. I mean, find one.
That's the only one I
Like
can
you
think
said,
of off
that's
the top
not-
of my head. That's literally like I'm looking at guys that became roster players that were prospects that weren't picks. And Tuukka Rask is one of them.
I've got one that you
Or Adam
would
McQuaid is
probably
another, sorry.
you would
McQuaid.
do it in a heartbeat, Court. I know you would do it in
Yeah.
a heartbeat, but I don't know if Vancouver would. Trent Frederick for Danton Heinen.
Well, I would love that deal. I think Boston would love that deal. I don't think Danton Heinen would love that deal anymore because I don't think
Probably not.
I don't think that deal gets done because of what happened this summer. Because
You think that Danton Heinen has
Burns
has
scorned
Boston
them.
on his 12-team no trade list?
Yeah, I think he would.
Yeah.
I really think
I
he
think
would.
so too.
I think he would. 100%.
I mean, after that, I would. I probably would.
Yeah.
It's-
And you know what's scary? He's the perfect right winger for that third line.
Oh yeah. Kevin says if it came down to a first-round pick in 25 or an in their prime third liner for
I'll be right
Freddie,
back.
what would you choose at the deadline?
I know my answer.
I'll bring Court back on
Don't
when he
take
gets
it
back.
down till I've answered it.
Oh, sorry. I was pulling
because I
Court
might
off
want to
the.
read it. Well, it depends on where the pick is, to be honest with you.
Yeah, no kidding. What team is offering the first?
Like, yeah, and what pick number is it? To me, there's 5 guys that can legitimately go number 1 in this draft. 5. Then there's another tier between 6 and I think 12, and then another tier from 12 to 20, and then 20 to 30 is another tier. So you tell me where that pick is, because obviously, if it's a top 5, I want it. I want the top 5 pick. If it's the 20 to 30 range, I might seriously consider an established third liner. Anything in between there, I have to think about it.
I think if the Bruins got offered a top 10 pick or a top 15 pick, they're going to do that deal in a heartbeat.
Yeah, I don't think they're that.
Yeah, I don't think they're getting it.
No,
I don't think they're getting
what
it.
team
in
is
this
giving
draft.
up a top 15, top 20 pick for 2025, which is a great draft for Trent Frederick? Like, I'm talking, people are going to willing to overpay, but oof, you know who would?
See,
Hold
a
on. You know
lot
who
of
would do
people,
it?
a lot
Dom?
of fans.
You know who would do it? The Montreal Canadiens.
Montreal.
Montreal.
would.
100%, because Montreal
have
is
the
full of prospects.
Yeah.
And they want Trent Frederick so badly, which is hilarity in itself.
People think this is a bad draft. It's not a bad draft.
No, it's a very. I think it's a very perfect diamond in the rough draft, because you're going to get guys that are.
Yeah, it may not be very deep. Like, you're not going to find much in the 3rd round and beyond. But it's a very, very good draft. And you're right. Montreal could afford to give away their first round pick.
And he's a piece they need. I just don't think he signs there. So
Yeah,
I guarantee you it would be like contingent if they can get him to re-sign, and he's not going to do it.
Yeah, that would
I can't see him signing in Montreal when you know that he can just go to St. Louis next year.
Yeah,
He can go home.
I'll have to share with you something. I mentioned it, Dom, and I wouldn't do it, Dom. I definitely wouldn't do it. I thought about it a little bit more, but I don't think I would do it based on the path that he's on. But I after the show last week, I think it was, I mentioned an idea that I had, and I don't even know if the money works anymore. But I don't know how this turned into the How Bruins Trade Trent Frederick show, but I'm all for it. It's a little after 8. I don't know if you guys got to get going anywhere. I know, Court, you've got the kids, and
yeah, I got about 5 more minutes. We're doing the it's turned into that show because it's gonna happen, and it's like the only news. If you're talking about the Boston Bruins, besides the amazing team in Providence, which I'm debating whether or not to get a package so I can watch those games, because that's all the Bruins have to do. Everybody's got a no move clause or a 15 team or a 12 team or a 10 team. They don't have any other options, and they're gonna make a trade. Don Sweeney ain't going to. That's Dom. When was the last time Don Sweeney went a year without making a trade?
He never has.
Well, and that's the way that this team's going to get better right now. Like right now, going into next season, okay, fine. Let's talk about Merkulov and Poitras and Lysell. And if if Trent Frederick got hurt and they called up, Merkulov and they shifted someone over, and all of a sudden Boston goes on a 10-game winning streak, and you're like, okay, well, wait a minute. All right, now you might have something cooking for this year, but it's going to take.
Yeah, but if Lysell can't stick to the lineup after playing as well as he did with Brazeau and that third line actually looking like it had life, like, well, I get Sacco's comments saying like, we're playing Washington. What does that mean? Tom Wilson isn't this boogeyman that is going to go after Fabian Lysell. He's going after Brad Marchand. Like, that's who Tom Wilson's going after. Yeah, going after Fabian. There's no other boogeyman on the Washington Capitals. People are acting like they're the Broad Street Bullies or something.
Well, I was gonna say, is Tom Wilson even gonna get a matchup
I
against
don't know.
Fabian Lysell?
I think Tom Wilson would, and Ovechkin is back, and Ovechkin likes
hit
to
everybody that moves.
Ovechkin likes to hit rookies and say welcome to the NHL.
But
he does. He
good.
loves it.
These kids need that.
Yeah, but they don't need to get hurt.
No, but like if Fabian Lysell is being sent down to the minors, I agree. Yesterday, when everybody was like, "Oh, it's a paper transaction," well, the Bruins didn't put out a tweet for a paper transaction. When McLaughlin went up and down, there was no tweet that he was sent to the minors and recalled. That didn't exist.
But they have done it. They have done it before.
Not often.
But
enough.
there was extenuating circumstances for the recall. I also think there's an injury with the team we're not hearing about, because on the morning of the 28th, game day, they sent McLaughlin down to Providence. And then at the same time that they recalled Fabian Lysell, they recalled Mark McLaughlin. So there was somebody that was questionable, whether that was Pasternak, on whether he could go or not. They called the two up.
Pasta looked great in that game. As much as people hate when, for some reason, if you say Pasternak looks good, people get all mad. But he looked like the Pasternak of old in that game. Could it have been Brad Marchand? Because I think he's hurt.
It could have been.
Oh, also,
it could have been
I got
anyone,
a quiz for you, because
actually,
everybody
but
keeps telling me that Mark Kastelik is like this giveaway machine. So I was just like, okay, let me look into this. So he ranks 14th on the team, not even close to being the number one guy. But for some reason, if you look on social media, they're like, all that guy can do is give away the puck and fight. And I'm like, actually, he wins draws. He's very good defensively. He's amazing on the forecheck. He does a lot of things right.
They can extend Mark Kastelik as soon as the first, right? Or as
and they will.
The
He's a Boston Bruin, and he'll lock himself in for like a good, $2 million a year, and you got a great guy on the fourth line. But I want to ask you, who is the number one guy on the team for giveaways this year? First time in his career right now.
For giveaways, it's not Frederick. He was for a while.
First time in his career, you said Brad Marchand?
Yeah. Leads the team in giveaways.
Wow.
I was going to say, because I know Pasternak has been up there before.
Now, once you see that stat and then you watch Brad Marchand play right now, don't know what it is. And I've been saying it for the last 10 games. He can't do his spin move in the corner right now. Every time he goes in the corner and does that little spin move where he goes the opposite way and then tries to go back with it again, loses the puck every single time.
Mm-hmm.
So something wrong with his wrists or his hands, because he's having a really hard time.
Yeah, but he did change his stick, too.
Oh, he did?
Yes. Brad Marchand started the season. You know how he uses a long stick, right? He started the season with an even longer stick. Go back and watch games from the beginning of the season or highlights. You'll see his stick is noticeably bigger. He just recently, and I mean going back to his 10-game point streak, went back to his old stick.
Okay, that makes more sense. It's just he looked really off last game. Like off. Like it's not the guy that we saw for the last 10 games. I was just like, what is going on with this guy? Every time he had the puck, he gave it away.
He's probably just trying to get used to that stick again. It takes time. It takes time.
So who else could be injured? Because Pasta did not look injured.
Oh man, it could have been anybody.
Well, I would think it'd be an old guy.
Yeah.
Could it be Coyle, and that's part of why they moved him to wing?
I think Sacco wanted to do something different, and it worked out.
What do you, real quick, Court, your thoughts on Johnny
I
Beecher?
really like his game. I know he doesn't get you points, but I think he is way too valuable at the dot, and he's way too defensively responsible to not have him in the lineup. I know he does get you points. I wish he could skate stronger. I really do. And I wish that he had more confidence, because when he does skate with the puck, he's fine. But for some reason, he's so hesitant and he wants to get rid of it. But I don't think his coach likes him too much. So,
Really?
well, it's not that he doesn't like him. It's just he's been very quick to take him out of the lineup. And if you look at it statistically on how he plays at the dot, like even when he plays the wing, Beecher still takes majority of the draws when he's on the ice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The things he does right, it's hard to teach someone. Do you know what I mean, Dom? The things he does wrong are glaring. But if someone could harness that and get him to play a little bit better, he'd be a really, really good third line centerman in his future. Or he gets traded next year or this year.
I was gonna say, why are you waiting on that? If
I have a soft spot for Johnny Beecher. I think Dom knows that. I think I like his game, even though he doesn't score. But I can see the writing on the wall that if he doesn't change the way he is with the puck, his decisions he makes, that he won't be there much longer.
Yeah, because they're all about from Neely all the way down. They're all about puck possession.
And he's not
Yeah.
a puck possession guy at all. He's a feed off guy. But what's your opinion on him, Dom?
I don't know. Like Chris went through the list last night. Would I sign him? Would I keep, or would I trade him? Would I let him go? And Beecher is interesting because he's a restricted free agent with arbitration rights. Not a guy that I think would file for arbitration, because when you look at Mark Kastelik playing for almost $100,000 cheaper, what's Beecher going to do in arbitration? So, has he done enough to earn a raise on $925 he's making now? I don't think
maybe $1 million, maybe. I don't think so either. I think that's another reason you keep him, because I think you're like, okay, he has so much potential. It's like stupid. And he's a bottom six guy. That's what he's going to be for the rest of his life. But he's one of your best penalty killers. And he's your best guy at the dot on the team.
Would you lock him into a multi-year,
No.
$1 million deal
No.
that is very
No.
tradable?
No, 2 year at the most. Because you want him to get better, and if he can't, then you at least, if he's only on a 2 year deal, like $1 million, you can make him go away. It's true.
Yeah, I know.
That's how it works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you don't want to be that. I think what Don Sweeney's probably in the back of his mind is like, if I move on from him and then another team harnesses that little bit that he needs to harness, and they find that guy. Like I think the guy that you need to figure out how to get into a long-term deal right now, because he's dangerously a top 25 defenseman in the league points wise. That's Mason Lowry. Do people realize that he's top 25 in the league?
I don't think people realize that now.
I think so.
I don't think fans realize, because they still harp on him. I'm like, he is literally your best puck mover. He is what you all thought Torrey Krug used to be.
Well, it's funny too, because I remember
McGrizzlick is my favorite when people thought he was an offensive defenseman.
I remember, Dom, I will never forget you saying this countless times last year when people were saying to move on from Lowry to bring in Noah Hannafin. And that would be a mistake.
What did I say?
That I believe you said within 3 years, Mason Lowry would be a better defenseman than Noah Hannafin.
I said that?
Well done, Dom. I know Kirk. I can never say his last name properly. Ludke? Is it Lucky? Lucky. He has been a Mason Lowry.
Ludicky.
He has been a Mason Lowry fan stan for forever. Like Mason,
Mhm.
I didn't know who he was until Kirk and Dom used to talk about him all the time. And I'm like, all right. And then I saw him in the playoffs. And like, my dad literally texted me and goes, well, there's a guy that's going to be the Bruins defenseman for the future.
Yeah, he looked great in the playoffs.
But he makes mistakes, but he doesn't really make them twice.
No,
He learns.
He doesn't have a memory like an elephant. He forgets very quickly. And you need that to be an NHL defenseman.
He also was the player last year that kept getting moved up and down between Providence and Boston. It's almost like time in Providence to get practice and work on your game is a good thing.
I said this today. There's a reason you can find pictures of Patrice Bergeron. Well, Bergeron or the lockout. Okay, so I won't take that example. There's a reason you can find pictures of Brad Marchand and David Pastrnak wearing a Providence Bruins jersey because they
David
played
Krejci
there.
too.
David Krejci, Tuukka Rask, they all played there. They all learned how to play the
Mhm.
game there, and Boston got away from that. And I guess that happened a lot when Butch was the coach. And I know it's not the coach. I'm just talking about the era. The Bruins got away from that.
Was
They
it
got
when
away
Butch
from
was the coach, or
guys.
was it more so
Well,
when
the coach doesn't make decisions on who goes up and down.
was it the Chiarelli era where they kind of got away from that?
No, Chiarelli was still doing it. I think it was right after Chiarelli. Like, you know what? It's real easy to figure this out. It's the Cam Neely era is when they stopped doing it.
Yeah.
Because it was a little bit through it's Cam Neely. They stopped developing guys in Providence and treating Providence like it was this boogeyman. And I don't understand it because so many franchises, Dallas has been doing this like perfectly for the last couple of years.
Oh my God, yeah. Let's not even talk about the youngsters they have coming up.
And they all have them playing down in the minors because Detroit, I think, started this. To them in Ottawa, I go back to those because Bennington and Grand Rapids, I think they did such a good job of using their or Adirondack, whatever it was back in the day. Was it Adirondack?
I think so.
Did such a good job of using their farm system. And what better way for the guys to learn than down in the farm system? I don't get it.
Well,
I don't get why they stopped doing it.
Especially if the AHL team is playing the identical system to the NHL team, which Providence is doing.
Also, to point out what happens when you don't utilize your American Hockey League team as a developmental team in that sense, look at Buffalo.
Chicago.
Look at the guys in Buffalo who didn't spend any time in Rochester. They're trying to break that habit with Devin Levi right now. But they're so far in the process with guys like JJ Peterka, Jack Quinn, Kulich, and like Dylan Cousins, Rasmus Dahlin. None of those guys played in the American Hockey League. Like collectively, they're
Rasmus Dahlin didn't have
Yeah, some
to.
guys don't have to, but
no.
I
But
think Matthew Poitras and
Owen Power
Merkulov
didn't.
and Lysell are perfect guys that need to play. And I think the way Merkulov and Lysell have played when they've been called up is the perfect reason how good the AHL is, because they both look lost. They both look terrible in the preseason. Lysell looked like a bust. Okay. He goes down to the AHL, comes back up. He looked like an NHL player last game. 100%. And so did Merkulov when he came up. They both look like NHL players. We already know Poitras an NHL player. So you now have 3 guys that are your future top 6 playing in Providence right now. Now, if you're going to move a guy to get a good big piece, so say for whatever's sake, Merkulov is the odd man out between those 3 young studs you got down there. So if the Bruins did something stupid and Cam Neely was like, I want Chris Kreider, I wouldn't be shocked if the Bruins tried to put a package together with Merkulov, Frederick, and something to go in the other way. But I'm not saying that's a good thing, but that's Cam Neely going, okay, we want this guy.
We want to make a splash.
But they don't need to. Like, the Bruins aren't winning the cup this year.
Right. That would be.
And I think Don Sweeney would be like, no, I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
I think Don Sweeney making that deal to get a pick and get Dean Letourneau last year said a lot of what Don Sweeney's thinking about doing for the next little bit. Not rebuilding, but retooling, but still getting picks.
Systematically retooling.
Yeah, the fact that he has nobody in the World Juniors pisses him off. That's embarrassing.
Yeah, but they also have a bunch of guys who we talked about it yesterday. They have a bunch of guys who have aged out, aren't eligible, and like they have what 7 eligible guys right now. Dom, is
So
that
that
what we
means they
determined
don't have
yesterday?
anybody in the next 5 years. You need. It's good to have kids playing in that tournament.
Oh, I agree with you. It's good to have. It's just,
Okay, here's my argument about the whole World Juniors thing. I mentioned this last night. Dom.Hockey is aged out. He's no longer eligible. He played in 2022. He played in 2023. He played in 2024. He played in the World Juniors under 18s. He's played in 2 World Championships. Will be on the roster in May for his 3rd World Championships. And this past summer represented Latvia at the Olympic qualifiers, which he led his team into, all by the age of 21. So what? He's not eligible for this tournament. He would have been there if he was
Okay, but that's
young
one guy,
enough.
Dom.
But you give me that. Okay. The World Juniors is generally a 19 or 20-year-old tournament when it comes to the Americans, the Canadians, the Russians when they're there, the Swedes, the Finns, the other countries like Germany, Kazakhstan, they're 18-year-olds. So for a guy like Dean Letourneau to make Team Canada
There's not a chance.
is near impossible.
Yeah,
not a chance. How often does an 18-year-old make
Yeah, but I
Team
don't think
Canada?
Dean Letourneau's ever going to make
Very
Team Canada.
rarely.
As much as everybody wants him to be that guy, but he's not.
No, but and very rarely does Team Canada invite NCAA
Well, maybe,
players.
but let's be honest.
It happens.
I think things are about to
but
change
very
next
rare.
year, but drastically.
Okay. But Elliot Gronwald, 18 years old, was not making Team USA this year. Has a chance to make it next year, is eligible the year after as well. Okay. Most recent Bruin draft pick.
But I think
Chris Pelosi. Chris Pelosi was one of the top 15 forwards for Team USA. Wasn't one of the top 13, but one of the top 15. Are we knocking him because he was 2 spots out?
I'm not
for
knocking
making
them.
Team
I just don't
USA?
think the Bruins' depth in their prospect pool is good enough.
No, I think both.
And when
things
I
can be
don't have
true.
one, and I think it's glaring when I don't see any of not one player in the World Juniors. And I'm not, and I get what you're saying, Dom. You're making valid points. They got a lot of guys either aged out or they're right on the cusp, but they don't got a lot of guys. Period. That's the way I look at the Bruins.
No.
I think Don Sweeney getting that pick last year. Like, I don't see Don Sweeney trading picks this year. I see Don Sweeney acquiring. I see him acquiring picks. Like, I think he was hoping, and he's probably still hoping that Wahlstrom does something and that gets on a hot streak so he can move him for a pick at the deadline. Because he ain't staying. Because Sacco already does. Like, Jesus, that was how quick that one game where he only had one shift in the 3rd period. I'm like, all right, well, it was nice knowing you, Wahlstrom. You played. He was given every opportunity his first 2 games.
Like, because they're right now they're 12th on the waiver wire. They've been between 12 and 15. I think they were 15th at the time they got the claim. So really, half the league didn't get a crack at him. I don't know of anybody who put a waiver claim in for him.
He is not this cracker thing you get in a box of a Cracker Jack box. Wahlstrom is what we've seen so far. He didn't play well in Long Island. He literally,
that's what I mean.
He's going to get a couple more cracks, but you could put him on waivers. No one's claiming him. Not one team. Not one team.
That's what I'm saying. Is if
you can't make a team like the Boston Bruins that can't score goals then how is a guy that can skate and score goals going to get picked up because he couldn't do it in Boston?
Well, no, I'm saying, at what point do you waive him, get him in Providence, get him working with the crew down there, work on his game down there where he'll actually get ice time, and then try to call him up and showcase him?
Maybe that's sooner rather than later because they already made the decision on McLaughlin, right? He hit his 10 games, so he ain't going anywhere. He's on the team for the rest of the year. Right,
Yeah,
Dom?
I think Sacco likes
Like,
really
what do you
likes
think of
McLaughlin.
Wahlstrom?
Well, I mean, they. What do I think of Wallstrom? I would have rather waited till today and picked up Jesse Puljujarvi off waivers.
Fair. You might as well take a,
What
take a
is-
stab at
what
that
does
guy
that
everybody
tell
else
you?
has, right?
Right?
Wallstrom hasn't impressed
Right.
me in any of
I
his
mean-
his first game. I thought he was so hesitant with the puck.
I think he's lost a lot in his skating because of his surgery. Somebody, I forget who it was I was talking to, said, Dom, he looks like he's skating up a ladder. When you watch his stride, that's exactly what it looks like. He was never that type of skater. So he's either compensating for pain that he's feeling or something. So he's lost that step. About the only thing in his game that's, as I remember it, is his defensive
Which
game.
is good.
Yeah. But I don't think you're getting anything out of him
Neither do I.
offensively. I don't. I would have, like I said, I would have much rather waited and claimed Jesse Puljujarvi off waivers.
I'm still in the I can't freaking believe they didn't try and like every year Tyler Toffoli is a UFA and the Bruins every year are like, no, we don't need a guy like that. You know, that guy that can get you 20 goals, can skate, and it doesn't have a big contract. I will never to this day not understand why Tyler Toffoli has never been a Boston Bruin.
It's not from what I understood, and I could be way off on this, but once Macklin was drafted by San Jose, that was an area that he circled and he said, I want to go play with this kid.
But I'm talking about the Bruins have had the last
They've had
7
plenty of
years
kicks at the
to
can
sign
for
this
him, though.
guy.
Ample up.
Yeah, I know, I get it. I'm just
He
saying,
is
as far
like
as this year,
maybe you know what? Maybe he's just an asshole because he doesn't stick it out on any team he is. He's won a cup, and no team wants him long term, and he scores 20 goals every time, but no one wants him. So maybe he's an asshole. That's the only thing I can think of. And I know that sounds terrible, but these are real things. There are players that are very good that you'll see going from team to team and team. And I'm not going to mention their names, the ones that I know of. They're just assholes. And it's unfortunate. And no team wants them long term.
Sweeney back pocket deal.
Possible.
Tyler Toffoli.
I never heard any rumbling of bad attitude or bad locker room guy or
No,
anything
I'm not saying
like
he
that.
does. It's weird, Dom, to never have a sit on one team. It's really weird.
Yeah.
And maybe he's built differently. Maybe he's happy with his cup and just wants to.
He's got family though. He's got kids. Like it's just.
Oh, I don't know.
No one's built that differently.
I don't know. I think if I was a professional hockey player, I'd love to play for every team. That's just me. I mean, I
can tell you this from the perspective that I've spoken to many wives, and I grew up around it. No one wants to move. No one wants to get traded unless they're done and they really want out. And even when they do, it's the worst. I'm just saying, it's a lot. No one likes it.
Yeah.
Like, look at Jim Montgomery. I think we could have like penciled in that he was going to go there because his wife is from St. Louis. Like, Jesus. Like, we could have saw it coming. There's a lot of times where you can see things coming when the player like lives in that neighborhood. Like,
You mean like when the player sells his condo?
yeah. Or I'll give you a perfect example. Like, Bruce is the coach of the Las Vegas Golden Knights. 100%. Loves it there. He's having a great time. Heck, they'll probably win the cup this year. Right now, they look like one of the best teams in the NHL, bar none. The defense is playing great. Their forward group's playing great. And they're playing both ways all the time. And they're beating good teams.
Yeah.
He still lives in Boston. In the Boston area. I'm not saying where. But he's all summer long. He is living in the Boston area. When he had his Stanley Cup parade, he had his cup, day with the cup. It was in Massachusetts. There's a lot of guys, not just coaches, but there's a lot of players. They would go home any chance they could. So like playing from team to team, not everybody wants to be Mike Stapleton or Walt McKechnie.
Well, and not every player wants to play for their hometown team either.
Not necessarily true. Not a lot of guys want to play for a big market team like a Toronto Maple Leafs or a Montreal Canadiens. But a lot of guys do want to go home. For some reason, it's more, and correct me if I'm wrong, Dom, I've noticed that the American kids want to play for their hometown team. It's the Canadian kids are like, nope.
That might be a pattern, yeah.
Unless you're John Tavares, who's playing for a contract right now, which is crazy. Guy's having one of his career years.
Mitch Marner too.
Jesus. Leafs are in trouble next year.
I don't know. I could think of a lot of guys that.
Look at the Red Wings. How many guys went home there?
Like look at Noah Hannafin as the most recent. Yeah, he's going to go home to Boston. He's not signing anywhere. And bingo, as soon as he's traded, 8-year contract extension.
Well, not even that. I could tell you Hannafin going to where he went had a lot to do with his best friend who's already on that team.
Eichel.
That's all I know.
I was going to say, I can also see that.
But
they didn't give up much to get him, did they? It was a weird
one.
No,
but still, it's the point of, players want to go home to play, and it's not always the case. Sometimes other things trump the players geography. Like Montgomery, not a player, but his wife is from St. Louis.
His kids were born there.
His kids were born there. You could.
They go back there every summer.
You could do the same thing with players.
It's certainly a pattern. It's something that teams have to be weary of. But I mean, there's a reason why there was a lot of Patrick Kane to Buffalo talk a while back, and
he was never going there. The last time he was there, he beat a guy with a tire and iron. He ain't going back.
I was gonna say there were reasons why that didn't happen, but there's a reason why it comes up though. So
he also had 15 women accuse him of rape in Buffalo. There's no way that guy was going back to the Buffalo Sabres, but whatever.
I didn't say I believed it. I just said it came up, and
I'm just saying. But that's another thing, Dom. Like you're talking about guys. Some guys don't want to go home. There was no way Patrick Kane was going home.
Mm-hmm.
No.
There was no way Steven Stamkos. I know for a fact when Stamkos was doing his tour, and he came to Toronto, he used Toronto to beef up his contract in Tampa. He had no intentions of he's here all summer. He wanted nothing to do. He wanted to either go to Tampa or Chicago or nowhere else.
Or Nashville.
No, I'm talking about when he signed with Tampa after that one time when he did the little tour.
Oh, I gotcha.
He went to Toronto just to get his number up because Tampa at the time was offering 6.5, and he wanted them at 8, and he got him at 8. He went to Toronto. He went and did his little tour, and the Blackhawks weren't willing to go any higher than 6 because they already had Kane and Taves.
Oh man, imagine that crew though.
Tavares did the same thing to Toronto. We all knew he was going to Toronto.
Yeah, I'll tell you this.
The Bruins never fell for it. The Bruins went into that meeting prepared to make an offer. I don't think it was a serious offer.
No.
Basically,
it was going to be Dom. It was going to be. Yeah, go.
Okay. No, go ahead.
No, I said it was going to be until they talked to the leadership group, and then they made a
Yeah.
decision.
See, that part I didn't know. But
Wait, so the leadership
my
group basically said
understanding
we don't
is
want him?
my understanding is the Bruins didn't even come close to offering what everybody else was offering. They went in hoping that Tavares would say no to him. The only reason they went was because they were one of the teams invited to, where was it? In LA, I believe it was.
Toronto.
Oh no, it wasn't Toronto. You're right. They were one of the teams invited, and they felt that they had to attend.
Yeah, there's a video of them
to
when they get out of the vehicle before they go in to do the thing, and if you see it, Don Sweeney and Butch are laughing before they walk in the building. So
No, I haven't seen
Yeah.
it. Is there a
yeah,
video?
there's a
of
video
it?
of them, like, because the Toronto media was covering it like it was like, like someone's coming to town, like it was the craziest thing ever. So there's a video every
Yeah.
time a team walked into the building to go see him. You can see them get out of their black SUV. It was an Escalade, I believe it was, and you can see Don Sweeney and Butch laughing. I don't know what they were talking about, but from my understanding is they were laughing on how they were about to just go bomb this thing because they didn't care, because they were just like, it is what it is. From my understanding is they went to the leadership team and they would have to have moved Krejci. And the leadership group was like, that
Yeah.
will be your biggest mistake. One, because of Pasternak. And two, because you'll destroy the locker room.
That's fair, because Krejci was a huge part of that locker room.
And according to what I understand, is Chara and Bergeron were like, great hockey player, but no.
Not if it means moving on from.
Yeah, because they were
Krejci.
going to have to move Krejci if they brought him in.
Yeah, that would have been.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And that, from my understanding, is that the leadership team was like, no, don't do it. And that went huge into Don Sweeney's decision and Cam Neely's decision on how they're going to offer him. And I heard the same thing as you, Dom. They offered him like $8 million, but like nothing, like what they knew he wasn't going to take.
8 million. That's what I heard.
8 million.
Was 8 million, and everybody else was in
11 and 13.
In
San Jose offered him 13.
Yeah, San Jose offered him the most, actually.
Yeah, but
they were in on Stamkos. They were in on Stamkos
this year.
No, not this year. I'm talking about that year.
The last time.
Oh, yeah, 1 year.
They wanted him. Well, he's friends with Bergeron. They wanted him.
That would have been a nice win there. So, anyways, we have gone well past 8
That's
o'clock.
my fault.
That's okay. We love it. Thank you so much for jumping on, and we'll definitely have to have you on a lot more going forward here. Dom, appreciate the extra time from you as well.
Yeah, we're gonna have to pick a day where Chris is available. During the day, we'll start at 8 in the morning, Court, and we'll finish at 8 at night, and do a 12-hour show.
We'll have to do some marathon
trade
show
deadline.
or something. I was already trying to do a trade deadline.
Trade deadline day would be fun.
Dom, do you remember the year we did a trade deadline show with Kevin, and HF boards crashed?
Yeah. Yes, and you kept wanting me to make trade proposals, and I refused.
That sounds like something I would do. So, anyways, yes, we'll have to organize something for trade deadline day. I will definitely be having that day off. I've already marked it on my calendar to put in for. So
March the 7th.
I'm going to be.
I think yesterday I said it was March 14th, but it's
Calgary.
March the 7th.
I'll double check. I'm actually pissed. Tomorrow I'm gonna be coaching while the game's going on, so I'm gonna be watching the game on my phone.
Well, I mean, we can send you updates if you need.
Oh no, I got my phone. The deadline, that was that Lindholm deadline.
Yeah.
That was still to this day one of the Taylor Hall and Hampus Lindholm trades, probably two of the best trades Donnie Sweeney's ever done.
Yeah. What
people don't know is, and I talked about it heading into the trade, Kevin will vouch for this, that the Bruins were not only into Lindholm, but they were in Rickard Rakell as well.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and Rakell
Wasn't that
ended
the
up
year they
going to
almost got what's his
Pittsburgh.
name? They went to the Islanders.
Corvette? No.
No, the U.S. kid. The U.S. kid. I can't remember his name. Go on. Sorry, Dom.
Can't remember. But they wanted Rakell, and the only reason they just took Lindholm is because Rakell was not willing to talk contract extension.
You know what? They dodged a bullet on Raquel.
Yeah, they did,
Yeah,
because
it
he ended
really
up
looks like
signing
it.
for, well, what did he end up, 4 times 5 in Pittsburgh or something? I can't remember.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's in Pittsburgh now. So yeah,
Yeah.
I'd say they dodged a bullet there. So yeah. With that, there was something else I had thought of, but it escapes me at this point now. But Court, Dom, any final thoughts from each of you as we wrap this up and actually get to finish up our evenings?
Swimming gets to start tomorrow.
Yeah. Actually, he's been doing really well.
I know. I used to see that stat I put out, and someone replied
Yeah.
to me that you should have been doing that.
Do you
all year.
remember Do you remember them off the top of your head? Just
1.97 goals against average and a 938 save percentage, something like that.
And 501
wow.
record.
It's stupid right now. He's playing very well. Yeah,
He
sorry.
is.
4-0-1 in 5 games with a 1.57 goal save percentage, goals against average, and a 918 save percentage.
Yes,
He's on his way back.
I did see that you mentioned that, and I did think of what it was. We were talking.
I will
about
say
the
this:
trades.
people don't realize he had a good game 4 games ago, and Dom messaged me and says he's back. Dom saw it. He goes, he's on his way back, and
He's
he
on
has
his
been.
way.
Because I was like, oh, I called him out for a goal, and Dom was like, let that one go, and he's been so much better. He has.
Okay. You mentioned the Taylor Hall deal and the Hampus Lindholm trades as 2 of the best that Sweeney has made. If Dean Letourneau works out, could the Linus Ullmark deal go up there as well?
I'm debating on doing a trade revisiting on that one. But no, I still feel when you trade the best player, you can't win the deal. Doesn't matter. And they traded the best player. It's hard for any GM to be like, the only time that's ever, I think, one that like you traded the best player. The Boston Bruins once traded Phil Esposito to the New York Rangers for Brad Park, and at the time they traded the best player. But if you go down in that deal, they won that deal. So yeah, maybe. Yeah. But right now, you wouldn't be able to know that for a really long time. I don't think, as someone who got to watch Letourneau a lot, I think that'd be Zacho was a good deal, but I still think Hampus Lindholm and Taylor Hall, for what they gave up to get those 2 players, it's crazy. They gave up nothing. Like
the Zacha deal
was
a solid one because you weren't going to re-sign. It was Noshik, right?
Yeah, but Zacha, you threw a dart at a dartboard and you actually hit a bullseye.
Right.
But you were still throwing a dart at a dartboard, right?
Right. But then, of course, you got the extension in place too. So
Hampus and Taylor Hall, he knew what he was getting, and he still stole them.
Yeah.
That's the way I look at those deals. He stole those players.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah. Anyways, we will definitely have to do a marathon long show with you at some point, because we could continue to do this all night and we'll all have fun, but eventually we will start to fall asleep. So with that, Court, thank you again so much for jumping on. Always great to talk hockey with you. And Dom, I look forward to these 2 days every week. We'll have to do another one at some point on a Thursday or a Friday. It's coming up here now that all the leagues are back in action as well. So with that, my final thought is go Bees.